M-O-E, that mean money over everything. Turn the club up like they got hit by a hurricane. Bad bitches grabbing my shirt, I'm about to rip it off. Tripping shit, we getting turned, we about to break the law. Big stepper, I bitch pressure, I don't fuck around. Burn a lot of money, fire marshal wanna shut us down. Marshal in the party when I'm turned up on that drink. You say no to throwing bowls, Juicy JK. I can merch, I get bread, boy. Find yourself some sense. Go to church, if you scared, boy. You acting like a bitch. Start a riot, we the highest in the club, get lit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. Crank it. Start a riot, we the highest in the club, get lit. When you hear this song, you gon' open. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. You say no to throwing bowls, Juicy JK. I can merch, I get bread, boy. Find yourself some sense. Go to church, if you scared, boy. You acting like a bitch. Start a riot, we the highest in the club, get lit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. Start a riot, we the highest in the club, get lit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit. When you hear this song, you gon' open up the pit.
So for a second, I messed up.
One day you'll get this, Phil.
Yeah, no, I'm over here scrolling, trying to get everything ready, and I scrolled out of the page. I'm like, oh, great, cool. Let me go back.
I saw you disappear. I'm like, oh well.
Like, I guess I'm just doing the show on my own today. That's what we're doing. Well, our guest is seeming like he's running a little bit late here, so hopefully he shows up. But oh, wait a minute, just got a message. I think I've got the wrong number.
Uh-oh. Were you ghosted? Or did you get a hell yeah, I'll be on your show?
No, so I sent him a message and he goes, tell me more.
Ooh.
I was like, oh God, is this Jim McDowell?
I'm gonna go with no.
Right. I think I may.
Hey, say Wong.
Oh, okay, so it's him.
Uh-huh.
And you're feeling like we're stalling. You know that I'm all in. Lately you're not. I know it's my fault.
I'm confused.
Hmm.
Already gone.
I don't know what to tell you.
If I lost you, I don't know. If I lost you, I don't know what I'd do. Get a little freaked out. Are you honestly happy right now? You say you love me so loud. That is sounding like defending yourself. Don't know if the parts of me add up to be enough to keep you.
We'll just make the stream all music all the time.
Right. Whew, okay.
Yes.
He said he's waiting. Okay, so you resend the link here.
All right.
Phone caller.
Oh, give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right, we got it all squared away. Sorry, guys.
All right. Is he joining us tonight?
He is joining us. I just got off the phone with him. So he's going to hop in here in a second. Let's go ahead and officially start. So let's do this.
All right.
Distance nerding.
I don't know what happened to the screen.
One day you'll get this.
There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is now time. We are starting No, the guest did not bail. A little bit of trouble there. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here getting started here. So let's get all into this. I am your boy, Young Phil. Of course, right next to me right here is the man, the former wrestler himself, Graveyard.
Yes. Happy Halloween day 2.
Happy Halloween day 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into this. We've got a guest on today, but of course, we're going to talk about sponsors and who's bringing us the show and everything like that. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by the wonderful people over at the deliciousness that is. Why is my screen not working today?
Reasons?
Yeah,
because it's Casual Friday, nerd out.
Figured it out. There it goes, ladies and gentlemen. This show is brought to you by the good people over at W. There we go. W is a brand of energy drinks created to help focus, concentration, reaction time with no jitters or crash. W contains no maltodextrin, no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, why? Why should I do W over all the different things that are out there? Well, let me tell you why. W contains Neurofactor. Neurofactor is a neurotropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your brain focus and clarity, while the 150 milligrams of caffeine and 3 essential B vitamins help you stay alert and energized. Find out more about W at www.w.gg. Use the code NERDING10. Get 10% off your order. And that is the greatness that is that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into this. This week's guest is one of few esteemed guests who can claim that he both fixes teeth by day and knocks them out by night. He's been on the wrestling scene in the indies for a while. He's dabbled in acting, writing, directing, and he's even a motivational speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, now making his way to the ring, he is the AIWF Golden Age champion, Jimmy Dr. Golden Boy Mac.
Hola, senor. Que pasa from Fort Pierce, Florida.
Hey, how's it going?
It's a Friday night. We're having our concoction of the evening, and it's a good day.
I do believe this is the first time that we've been joined by a guest from Applebee's, and that is amazing.
It's a homemade skinny. Are you allowed to say margarita?
Oh, you can say whatever you want, man. You can say anything you want on the show.
It's freaking amazing. She just blew one out of the water for me tonight. Good night.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So we're going to get right into this here. So of course we want to have the audience get to know you a little bit more. Now we have a segment on our show called Growing Up Geeky. What did you geek out on when you were a kid?
Oh man, growing up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm from Arkansas, and we were outside, man. We were in the woods. We were hunting and fishing and biking, and there was not a lot of technology shit going on back in the day.
Were you an avid wrestling fan back as a kid too?
I grew up in the Midwest, so that was WCW, NWA country. That was, everybody from Bill Watts to, Steve Williams, Dusty, obviously Dusty back in the day. And it was, Danny Hodge, probably some of my first memories were Danny and some of his boys were some of my first lessons that I ever had in Oklahoma.
Nice.
Let me put you on the tip and I'm going to walk out. Give me a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Thank you, my love. It was amazing. Say good night. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Seth. Okay. I'm out of here. So, yeah, Midwest, Arkansas, Midwest wrestling, Mid-South wrestling, really back in the day was, house shows, 200, 400, 600 people making their way across, the states, the small states, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma. It's just, it was a different life back then for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome though. I mean, that was to grow up with it and to be doing it now too. I mean, that's just got to be a great thing.
You know, I tell people all the time, one day I'll grow up, but what am I going to do when I grow up? You know, it's like I'm doing it now. You know, it's like this is the game. And I just came back from Cameroon. I was the first American wrestler ever in Cameroon last year. Going back next year, and it's going to be a game. Going to be a game changer.
All right, so that's awesome. You know, my wife asks me every day, when am I going to grow up too? And I tell her never.
Yeah.
Says
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
You're bankrupt.
Absolutely.
Just like KB Toys. Bankrupt.
Exactly. So Jimmy, if a movie was made based on your life, who would play you and why?
You know, before I became a adult onset blonde, Magnum TA was literally my twin. I had the nice brown porno mustache, and we had a lot of similarities. And he was destined for greatness before his car wreck, and he would have been probably the quintessential world heavyweight champ. He had that kind of ability and charisma. It was just wrong place, wrong time. But I think in the wrestling biz it would be Magnum TA, and then in real life, who would it be? I do have a character that as I move forward, I'm a little bit like Fabio, because it's a lot of just pomp and circumstance and shine. How much substance do you have? Kind of stuff. I'm not going off the damn top rope and doing or not. I'm not. That's not me.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is you want Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson now.
Yeah. We've shared space before, and he's definitely got you remember the name of his movie company?
$7 Productions, because he had $7 in his pocket when he first started his entire venture in life.
Yeah, mine is called Golden Scroll Films. My studio is Golden Scroll Films, and we're not going in the direction he went. We're going to become we're making Christmas movies, sort of like Hallmark shit. So you can't get much opposite, but it's not a I guess. A couple years ago, I left my house decorated 3 years in a row for Christmas, and I was dating this girl, and it was July. She came over, and she was like, "It's July, and your house is in Christmas." I said, "You're with the right person." So, Christmas is my game. Love it,
and nothing wrong with that. My wife starts decorating for Halloween in August. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So, with you having the distinct honor of being both a dentist and a wrestler, what came first, wrestling or dentistry?
I was, short story, I was 7 years old, Little Rock, Arkansas. Went to see a wrestling match. My dad was a civil engineer. He was, everything's black and white. There was no color. My mom was the one, she knew I liked wrestling. Ringo Starr against Mikita Molkovich. It was one of the original Russian guys. And it was back in the day where you could get up on the apron and get an autograph. And I got a picture, and not a picture, but an autograph with Ringo Starr. And come charging across the ring was a Russian, and he hit Ringo and knocked me. I mean, I'm 7 years old, a decent sized kid, but knocked me out to the first row. The lady caught me. From that point on, I was hooked. I always knew I wanted to be a dentist, but I never knew that I did want to be a wrestler. But I had my game was being a dentist. I always wanted to be a dentist. And after going to dental school, playing 4 years of college football, I trained a little bit with some of Danny Hodges' people, not even really thinking about wrestling back in the day, because I was still playing college football. Tried out for USFL, tried out for NFL, arena football, opened up a dental practice. In my third year, I bulked up to about 320. I was 318 to be exact. I was benching more than the starting nose tackle for the Dolphins at the time, Chuck Klingbeil, and ended up meeting Vince and Georgia Animal Steel, and
Oh wow.
they said how did you meet? I'd wanted to get back or with through a few of my patients who were wrestlers, and they taught me, and they said you got to stand out. So I didn't know much about it. I sent 10 FedEx packages on the same day, and they showed up at Vince's doorstep in Connecticut, and within 2 days they were in West Palm Beach at a house show, and we met. And it was one of those times where they were looking at mid early to mid 90s. They were looking at full time. They were no longer part timers. And I had 3-year-old twins. I had a new dental practice, and my wife would have shot me dead. We collected the insurance without a problem. So I knew that it was not going to be the right time. So fast forward about literally 15 years later, and I didn't give a shit anymore, and I started back wrestling, and propelled from there.
Nice. Yeah, that's and people know me. I started my life as a teenager as a backyard wrestler, and
right.
That's how I got the name Graveyard. That was my wrestler nickname, and here I am now, 25 years later, still using that name for everything else.
Right.
But I was doing it for a couple of years. Then I met my now wife. She goes, "Yeah, if you get hurt, I don't care. It's your own fault." I'm like, oh, that's fair.
Absolutely. Yeah. Been lucky over the years. A kid threw a swanton on me one time and fractured my sternum, collapsed 4 ribs and both lungs, and they trauma hawked me out of there. And that was on a Friday night. And Monday morning, I'm back in the office seeing dental patients. So there's things you can do with a fractured sternum, and wrestling is not one of them. And I'm in the ER that night in the backwoods of Florida, and they asked me, how you doing? I went, I can breathe. And about 5 hours later, the lungs reinflated, and the police and the people who trauma hawked me came in, and I won the heavyweight championship that night. And they started getting pictures made with my belt, and I said, this is a good thing, right? This means I'm going to live. There's no problems with my life after this. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, drove 6 hours, and saw patients on Monday morning. So that's one of those, you don't have a choice, because I knew my wife was going to bust my chops if I missed work for wrestling.
Yeah, I actually read that story, and I was amazed by it, because I was like, God, he just went and continued being a dentist after breaking his sternum. That is, there is a heavy dose of respect for that, man, to continue on.
Absolutely.
You just broke your sternum,
We didn't do extractions for that week because there's no way in God's green earth, and I don't even know if my patients really knew, but I definitely, I told them I had new gear on that night because the championship, and they reached for the scissors, and I was just I said, do not cut my shit off. I said, if you can work around us. They took my shirt off, kept my gold and white pants, boots, everything on, and I said, don't cut this stuff off, please. So they let me keep my stuff on for the night. Thank goodness.
Oh, that is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what the healing time looks like for a broken sternum.
I was in the ring 4 weeks later.
But should you have been?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a common thing with wrestlers, right? Is jumping back in before you're fully healed.
You know what you're going to throw. You're not going to do anything stupid. I had a clause in there. I had to defend within 30 days or I was going to drop it. And I mean, I had people fly in from all across the country that night. I mean, and they kicked me out of the ring, and my spot's called, and I crawl back in. I know something's not right. I just can't feel it. And I roll him up, and they give me the microphone. I've got the belt. I've got a microphone. I have no air in my lungs. I cut like a 30-second promo, and I get out of the get it. And they carry me. Basically, my arms are over a couple of wrestlers, and they pull me back in. And here come my daughters. They're all in the health profession, and they were like, "We're calling 911." And I'm like, "What?" Because you're still hyped up.
Yeah.
Because you won. It's your first big belt, and fuck, man, it went all downhill after that.
Yeah, I mean, especially after winning the strap, you're definitely like, no, I'm good. I'm on an adrenaline high. Right
Yeah.
Yeah. Adrenaline high without oxygen doesn't work though.
now. No.
Yeah.
But it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. So no more swanton bombs after that for at least 4 weeks.
Yeah. People call it. They said, I said, no, you're not going to throw shit, because I've done one. I've done many more than that, but it's like, no longer do we go there. We don't play that game no more.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like you see some of the stuff that even wrestlers today do safely. I'm like, I look at the coup de grace, and I'm just like, how do you do that safely, man? Just like even pulling your weight, that's going to be something where you're stomping on someone's chest from the top rope, even if you're hitting their diaphragm. Like, how are you not breaking stuff?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of, when obviously to tense at the right time, but it's the young guys versus the guys who know they're trying to prove themselves. And when I was in Africa, I was in Cameroon last year. I knew that they wanted me to, take it outside the ring, which I think I excel out there, because you can play with the fans, you can do whatever. And he kicked me in the stairs to get into the ring are over there, like they're made to last forever. It's like iron and wood, and my arms got trapped between the ring and it. And I pull you got pictures out. I should send you pictures. I pull my arms out just in time, and it would have snapped both forearms. I'm thinking that would have looked really good. So I can do dentistry without a sternum, but you can't do dentistry without arms. It's like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and that's truly like the wrestler mindset is, man, that would look really cool if I did that. But it's like I'm also risking losing my entire like career over everything.
Yeah, and I do suffer with that. I mean, my mind, I know that it's never going to happen to me, but you see so many close calls, and my fiance now is a hospitalist at a physician assistant, and she, my kids, I have a psychiatrist, I have a nurse practitioner, I have a nurse, a hospital administrator as daughters, and all my kids are in the health profession. And they're worried about head trauma. It's obviously a thing to think about, no matter whether you're in soccer or softball, just all the World Series, everybody's wearing masks. And there's a 20-year-old versus an adult thinks completely differently. I mean, I know that I've been lucky, but I keep pulling it up. I keep I'm on my 10th or 12th life now, like a cat. And I've been lucky. I still wouldn't change a fucking thing. It's just, it's the way it is right now. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure your kids are on the fence of like, we don't want to stop him from doing this because he enjoys this, but at the same time, we need to stop him from doing this because he's going to hurt himself. Like, I can see where they're like where that kind of dichotomy comes in.
Yeah.
I want my dad to be safe, but at the same time, I don't want him to hurt himself. And it's like, it's like my wife and anything that I do is like, oh, well, regardless of whether what you're doing and you're doing things safely, there's still the risk. And she, that she gets upset about it.
Sort of, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I only got one concussion from backyard wrestling.
It was just for a consecutive 10 years in a row.
No, it was a pile driver on the concrete. Concrete doesn't give.
No, it does
not.
No
matter what.
Yes.
I only remember that because there's video proof of it happening. I don't remember the event at all.
Hence why pile drivers are, for the most part, outlawed in most major mainstream wrestling.
Yeah. And you look at the people, like Stone Cold and
right.
And the guys who had bad moves thrown at them, and they learn to make a career out of wrestling after knowing they're never going to take another chair shot. Look at Daniel, Bryan, and he's literally going to retire now because his life really is family and kids, and he's within millimeters of being paralyzed. And so we know what we can do, but there's still that one person doing the wrong thing that can paralyze you for the rest of your life. My son he's 17 now, and he's been following me for over the years, and he's a great singer, national chorus. He plays sports, volleyball travel team, but all across Florida and the United States. But he's a great singer. So he came and had a couple kids from Canada come down 2 years ago, and he's 15, and he's there to sing the national anthem. And they said, "Bo, you want to wrestle?" I said, I could never be the first one to ask him, "Oh, do you want to wrestle?" Because then it's my fault if he gets hurt. Mm-hmm. So he had his first match, and it was a rumble. So they got him put in, and I said, "Bo, you're going to learn this at a very young age. It's better to ask for forgiveness and permission, because if Mom knew you were in the ring right now, I would be castrated, and you would never leave the house again." So he had his first match, and he may not have any more, but that first time is always a memory that everybody remembers their first match.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, inside baseball here, did he catch the bug, or
he can't? He is smarter. I guess I was smarter than that too. But we grew up in the day of Cena being in his prime. We would go to every house show in Florida, every WrestleMania, every NXT, and Nakamura. I mean, there was so many things that he loves about it, but it was not something that he doesn't have the same size. He's a little smaller. He would be more of a flyer, and the smart thing is he's gonna be in finance. He said, "I've got all my 4 daughters are in medicine." He said, "Dad, I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm not going to be in medicine." And I said, "Fine, you make money, and I just want a golden wheelchair when it's over with." That's yeah.
So you talk about taking about 15 years getting back to wrestling. So how'd that process begin back up for you then?
Actually, sitting a patient in the chair, a couple guys from WWE, you'd know their names. They'd found out that I had a past in wrestling, and Coastal Championship Wrestling was big in the day. Pablo Marquez, who was WWE from Central America, moved to Miami, and Doc Rivers was the Florida heavyweight champion at the time. And they said, "We heard you wrestled. You'd like to train." I'm thinking, let's go to the gym and lift weights. And we show up, and we're full bore, straight on training. And I said, "You know what? I really did get the bug. I was past the point of where my practice was established." And they said, there's ways to get back in. Come back in indie wrestling and work on it that way. And I didn't do it closet, but I did a few matches without anybody knowing, and I caught my mojo back again. And it's funny, just a little bit of a change of blonde hair versus brown hair, and Luke going from 318 down to 225 or 230. You have a different feeling about yourself. You have a different persona. You have different realities that I'm not the big fat guy anymore. I'm like, and everybody, when you find your game, when you find your vision, it is, Ric Flair was Ric Flair, but who was before Ric Flair? Gorgeous George. And, everybody tries to perfect their vision. And, I love Dusty Rhodes to 1,000 degrees. I've been in the ring with, Dustin, but he had a look, and I didn't want that look. I wanted a look that was in my mind what a professional wrestler was. And Ric Flair was always what a professional wrestler was for me. I mean, easy to copy, easy to be close, but not to be the same. He's Nature Boy. I'm Golden Boy. He did it for a living. I'm doing it part-time. he slept with 10,000 people. I'm only at 500. I mean, those kind of things. Sorry, I was just there.
No, it's great because I mean I do see the similarities with you in Ric Flair, but I mean I do see the differences.
Absolutely.
I got a chance to look through some archives. I watched your Buff Bagwell match. I've seen a couple different things online, videos that people took and things like that. So I mean I can see the difference in your style from Ric Flair's style and things like that. So you're not exactly the same. Actually, of all the pictures that you have online, my favorite one is you and you in the gloves, because it kind of gives off this boxing persona, and I kind of actually like that a lot.
Yeah. I came across those pictures. I'm moving this week, and celebrity boxing came after me pretty hard. But I'm more worried about. I don't need a jiggly brain up there. I need what I got left. But I trained hard. I trained hard for boxing only because they needed that crossover look. And here I am, with some NBA freaking huge guys, 6'10", 6'11". They've got their reach. You can't get inside of those guys, those kind of things. But it's a different life, man. Boxing, like I've trained for triathlons. I've trained for, boxing way back in the day, and that's a different kind of in shape right there.
Oh yeah, no, I started off as a boxer, got into MMA and everything like that. Now that was years ago. I'm definitely not in that shape anymore. But I mean, like again, I can relate to when you were talking about dropping weight and feeling like a completely different person, different type of energy. Because I started off fighting 220,
Right.
and dropped down to 195.
Yeah.
Or to drop into another weight class, and again, I felt like I was faster. I felt like I moved a lot better, everything like that. Especially being somebody who started off in boxing, it's like, man, I just feel like just less weight on me. I can throw a different kind of punch, not necessarily a faster punch, but like it's a different kind of punch.
Yeah. And you look at some of the guys that came through with our, obviously back in the day, Frazier and Ali. Frazier never met a glove that he couldn't stop with his face, and Ali was just the opposite. He wanted to avoid, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But Frazier just plowed straight at you, and he, won heavyweight championships and stuff. But his mentality was completely different. I like to look good. I don't like to hurt. It's like, it's like if I can make it through the night without sweating or taking a bump, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in this age where everybody talks about CTE and kind of that kind of stuff, especially with boxers and fighters, CTE is prevalent, man. Like it's just because you're constantly taking a beating, you're constantly taking hits to the face. It's like I remember I was training with somebody and they were afraid to get hit in the face, and it's like, yeah, man, this is not for you if you can't get hit.
No, not at all. I've been with Gangrel and some of Barbarian and some of those guys, and they are they like to win, and they like to do it without obviously flexing it to their 90th to 100 percentile. But it's a completely different life when you're doing it 5, 6, 7 nights a week.
Right.
And it's a different mentality. You gotta shine, but you gotta do it without pain. And so many of those guys just love them to death. It's a commitment to a career that is physically potentially debilitating, but you don't think about it in the ring. You get up, you do your spot, you do your shot, you go. 10 minutes from opening curtain to I can have the shittiest day going on. You open the curtain, hit the music, life is good. That's the cool thing.
Right, and the persona just takes over.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, yeah. I mean, you have also part of your career is acting, and that obviously being physicality, being an athlete and an actor, having mic skills is all crucial to the entire job.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what so many wrestlers transition so well into acting, is because it's not so much that you need to be a good actor, but I mean it is the mic skills, it is the physicality and being able to move around and think on your feet and everything like that.
I mean, I'm good friends with Dory, and Terry obviously was a great actor. I mean, a great wrestler also, but people know Terry more as Funk as an actor, because at the end he did more of that, and he had a persona that he followed, and you have the people that are great with mic work. I mean, look at the Miz. He didn't start in wrestling. He came through MTV reality shows, and he's probably one of the top 5 ring guys, not just mic guys, but he's an athlete. It was not easy for him to break that barrier to come across. Just the opposite. My new acting coach is Jordan Woods Robinson. He comes from Walking Dead and Blue Man Group and several others, and he said, I see you want to be an actor, and I don't want to, I want to do the things to not be. I've done Christmas movies, but I'm Killer Santa Claus, Red Christmas 1, Red Christmas 2. I'm doing a Hallmark movie coming up now, and I'm making that switch over. So you really truly have to be cameras 18, 24 inches from your face, and you don't have to be really loud. Like, you don't have to just like pop a mic and sell to the back row of the auditorium. You're selling to right there on the camera, and it's a huge difference. I love it, man. The transition's really good.
Yeah, I mean, and Phil and I talked to a lot of people that are actors that start on, say, stage and then going to the camera. It's the same thing. You're not playing, as you said, playing to the back row. It's nice that you see it too in the wrestling side too, that you have to take it down. You have to make it more personal.
Right.
Yeah. I would one of the better wrestlers in the independent circuit, Damian Wayne Costell, told me years ago. He said, "You got obviously 4 sides of the ring, not counting TNA shit. 6-sided. I never wrestled with them. They said that bad boy doesn't bounce right. It's stiffer than a board." But he said, pick a person on each corner, not each corner, each side of the ring. Pick on the second row a little 7-year-old kid, on the next row a big, a lady that's 5th row, and every time you go to that side, you're wrestling to that kid or to that lady or this dad, and everybody in that area thinks you're looking at them when you wrestle for that kid or wrestle for that mom or wrestle for the dad. And they want to make me a heel at times, and I'm the worst. I'm a tweener, but I'm definitely a face, because afterwards I want pictures made with the kids. But you know what? The dad said, go get your picture made. And I said, you know what? I will do that. But at the end of this picture, I want him to take a picture of the kid, to take a picture with me and the dad. And I swear, when I see things on Facebook, I always put the dad, put me in a headlock. And it's just because I don't give shit. I'm building up dad, because that son will always remember he put me in a headlock. And he said, you're going to see those pictures over time, and you'll never see the kid on Facebook. You'll see the dad not standing next to you, which was the first picture. Then I'll grab his arm, put me in a headlock, and act like he's pulling my hair, and the kid takes a picture. And it's, if we don't do it for the fans, if we don't do it for the love of the sport at this age, it doesn't matter if you're 18 years old, 69 years old. I think Dory just had a match in Japan. He's 80.
Wow.
Don't do it for the love of the game and for the love of wrestling. You're in Europe for the wrong reason.
No, that's beautiful, man. That is actually something that I can 100% stand behind with stuff like that. Now, like speaking of the people that you've worked with and just kind of things that you've done and experiences, you've wrestled with I mentioned Buff Bagwell, and you mentioned Ford. How's your experience been in the indies working with the swath of newcomers alike with veterans?
I know that where I was growing up and the respect that I had for people who had been in the industry for a while, and I still want to share, but I also am a fucking fan. And in a locker room, there's camaraderie, there's stories. Traveling with Barbarian and his manager one time, a new manager, and I'm driving, pick him up at the airport, and we're going to do a tour of Florida. And literally the first thing I need to do is get gas, and I pull into 7-Eleven, and Barb's in the front seat, and the manager gets out and gets a gas and runs inside, and Barb said, "Pull off." So we pulled around the tree, and I'm in the front pump. Now I'm gone, and the manager comes out, and he stands where the car was, and he's looking like, here, the car's not here. So it's like, dude, you'd be standing where the car. We're like, he's just, what's he doing? So it's the stories that happen when you travel. Jerry, one of the Golden Boys before me was Jerry Gray, and back in the day, he traveled Florida, a lot of the Southeast. Golden Boy Jerry Gray, and he was with Bob Cook and Cahagas and some of these others, and I think even the Funks, and he got a little bit drunk, so they'd thrown him in the trunk, and he passed. Literally, that was a big, like a '98 Impala 98 or Oldsmobile, and he slept in the trunk. Well, they forgot about him the next morning because he's passed out, and when they it's summer, so he's almost dead when he's like passed out, sleeping, drunk. Now, these are stories that you can't not live through and tell 100 times, through the years. But traveling back in the day now, it is a business, and you do have the locker room mentality of fun, but you do have a lot of people with families looking to work, taking off time, and beautiful family, and it comes back bigger, better, stronger. And there's times that it's almost like be nice, Jimmy. It's like the foolishness of the old days have gone a little bit professional now. There are stories, but it's not the same as it was, the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right.
Do you feel like they take their personas like too seriously at this point?
Yeah, I think just the opposite. Back in the day, you had to live it. I had a patient that was a state trooper. Sorry, I'm rambling, but Dusty got pulled over on I-4 coming from Tampa to Orlando, and he was a nice young black state trooper, and pulled over Dusty, and he said, sir, you're doing 87. He said, you know who I am. He had the belt and everything. I travel with the belt on my dash sometimes too, so just for the right time. And he said, no, I don't. He said, sir, I need your driver's license, blah, 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 blah. He said, before you do that, give me your phone. He said, Dusty talking like Dusty does. And he said, call your mama. So he picked up the phone, called his mom, and he said, your son is about ready to give American Dream Dusty Rhodes a ticket. He said, give it back to my phone. Give it to my son. He said, you let that man go. So these are the kind of things, you can't make those stories up. So, not everybody knows you, but everybody knows something or somebody. And I left a match one night, just totally didn't have time to change, ran into the restaurant, and not to eat there, but got it to go. And they said, hey, I know you. He said, you're like a male dancer. I went, fuck, no, I'm not a male dancer. I'm professional. So whatever I was wearing that night was like white with purple. And so I said, I knew I needed to change gear at that point because I didn't want to be known as a male dancer in the backwoods of Florida. But anyway, stories are where it's at. There's the old days of driving city to city, 60 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles, 1,000 miles, get there the next night, turn around, go back. It's changed. It's definitely changed.
Yeah, and I know that now it's there's a lot less emphasis on working full time. They're really good about making sure that people get their time off and get their family time and everything like that.
Absolutely, yeah, without a doubt.
It is nice that it's evolved to that point where you can live a life now and not.
You can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's with all the different levels. I saw where somebody really wants to, obviously with HBK really working hard on the NXT brand, and it's going to be where you've got AEW, WWE, you got NXT, you've got enough different ways to build from the bottom to the top that it's not going to be the brutality that that we were known for back in the day, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Solon Chat wants to know, what was your favorite territory or time in the business?
Absolutely, always in Florida, because everybody came down here. Being a dentist in Florida, I've been a dentist for 30 years, and as people in the business know that hey, Doc is a wrestler. Let's go see him. They needed, they have a toothache. I'd get them antibiotics. I'd, work on them, do whatever I needed to do back in the day. And it wasn't like, Dr. Nick with WWE. I wasn't, I wasn't the drug supplier. I was actually doing some real shit with them. And so it was always Florida. Florida Championship Wrestling, everything from B. Brian Blair, with the guys that, Steve Kearns and, the guy with the greatest punch in the world, known by everybody was Bob Cook, never elevated, to, he worked for WCW and WWE, but, to never be a champion, you wrestle with some amazing freaking people. And back in the day when they throw them down, they'd, come down to rehab down in Florida, and you get to be with them. And just like with Major League Baseball, where it was spring training, always in Florida. You get hurt in the major leagues, they send you down to, A ball, double A ball to get back in shape, get ready back for them. And it's the same way, back in the day in Florida, you'd come down and wrestle for CCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, Elite Championship Wrestling, and a lot of the places southeast. I've traveled, in Georgia, the Carolinas, again, Arkansas, and I'm more known. I was, like I said, first American wrestler ever in Cameroon last year in Africa. I wrestled, in Jamaica, Central and South America. You have a look, and it sells. And they tried to make me a heel in a foreign country. I went, "You're not going to make the Golden Boy heel. It's not going to work." So they try, and I walk out, and but. Typically in the United States, the territory, big territory, always Florida. I've wrestled in California, west of the Mississippi is a different beast out there. I wrestled a lot during COVID in Pacheco, Sacramento, San Jose, Oakland, that area. And it was a different life, man, during wrestling during COVID. It's like
you have a traveling bubble essentially then?
Yeah, definitely do.
That's where I am. I'm in Sacramento, so I mean, like, it is definitely a different beast out here as far as wrestling goes.
Yeah, I think it was East. One of the groups I worked with was East Bay Wrestling, and it's just there was nobody, and it's really difficult. There was nobody in the stands. You could, you'd have your family and friends, but there was just nobody during COVID, and it's hard wrestling to empty bleachers. It was a different life, but they knew that somebody was dumb enough to do it, and they'd hire me to come out, and I didn't mind it at all.
So you said you're a wrestling fan, as well. So as James wants to know, what do you watch now, and what do you prefer?
I do have a bigger pull for AEW. It's out of Jacksonville, Florida here. Double J. I ran a gimmick for a while. I've got some of his, old type gear look, and I don't have a problem changing. I've one thing I've never done. I've never been a cowboy in the ring. Now I know I'm going to be asked to be a cowboy in the next month or two, probably. But AEW has a different following. People try to make it similar to WWE. It's a whole different game. Been to the back room, with Big Show and Henry and Mark Henry and all the guys, and it's just it's almost like it's not a fraternity as much as it is a family. And I know that's not a big difference, but WWE seems to be a little bit more like a fraternity, and it's cool, and it is family also. But AEW has a different feeling in the back room than and even out on the in the main ring too. But I'm a big AEW person.
Awesome, man. Before we start getting into the wrap up, I got to ask you this. So, as far as AEW goes, what's your favorite storyline happening right now?
Jeez. It's almost like the termination of some of the old guys. Like Daniel Bryan. I can feel that sincerity and the depth of his. His love, Edge and Christian coming back, and they're fucking amazing, probably as good or better than they were in their prime. And, and I understand, all the new guys and those stories are fine. But, for us that are connecting with with our peers, they have done it. Don't tell me I haven't cut sleeves off of my turtleneck and was going to use that for a couple matches. I never did it. But if anybody can pull it off, he did, and I would jump right it on. I think too. So I think the news stories are all good, and Bob Rosen, who's the ringmaster for AEW, is a good patient friend of mine, and he keeps me up on some of the news stories. But I know as I'm waning, I'm moving. Not necessarily, I am moving. I have to admit it. I'm moving. Less and less wrestling, more and more acting. Got a lot more movies coming out, and being cast in roles that I don't see me as, and that's the thing. In wrestling, you got what? Face and heel. There's your gig. Now I can be just about anything I want to be on the screen, and it's getting exciting. I do want a career in acting. One day I won't be a dentist, but I'll be doing something else without a doubt.
Amazing, man. Actually, I did have a question I have on here that I wrote specifically in a way that was going to laugh out of it, but I have to ask this, man. So mic skills are a big deal for both wrestlers and managers. And you know the rule, man. You either have it or you don't, right? So where would you rate yourself on a scale of Ultimate Warrior to Ric Flair?
Yeah, I've seen some of the mic work from Ultimate Warrior, man, and he made who else could be put into the Hall of fucking Fame and die the next day. That was amazing. His mic skills would have killed him 100 times over from the past.
Exactly. That's why I did that scale the way I did, because it's like from the Ultimate Warrior being probably one of the dudes who it was the worst on the mic, but charismatic as hell. Right?
Absolutely.
On the mic, to Ric Flair, arguably one of the best mic workers in the entire industry.
Without a doubt. And his was a life lived too. I mean, he was, limousine riding, jet flying, diamond mirror, and Rolex watch wearing. I mean, he was the game. But it was his life. And I can't go to the mall. I can't go to the mall or a restaurant without somebody giving me a woo. And I said, that's not me, but I'll woo for you if you want. But I said, that's the nature boy. And I do out of respect. I don't woo without being wooed first. I'm not an initiator of woo, because that's his game. That's his shtick, man. He's freaking amazing. Had pictures made, with him and my son, and very appreciative of those kind of things. But everybody has a story,
right?
No, and his is he could pass it on to his kids. Charlotte, 13-time heavyweight champ.
She's gonna be there, man. I don't know how they're once she does come back, but I don't know how they're gonna kind of play that game. Whether they're gonna have her beat her dad's record, or if they're gonna have her stop at 16. But I mean, like, man, she's already there. She only within 3 years.
Yeah,
within 3 title holds, so within 3 times of holding the strap of matching her dad. She well deserved. She is probably one of the hardest workers when you look into her work ethic and the way that she puts in there. Like, yeah, I get it. I got upset for a little bit when WWE was doing their thing, and it was like, okay, well, they just insert Charlotte into everything.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
Yeah, because it's kind of like you're not giving anybody a chance to do anything else. You're just kind of like, what do we do? Put Charlotte in there, and it's kind of like ruining everything. But like, at the same time, you can't say that she doesn't work hard, and she does. Like she's an amazing worker, and it's just it is a testament of her father and homage to who her father is. I love the whole gimmick of, I don't want to be Ric Flair's daughter. I want Ric Flair to be my dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's and at a point, sadly at a point at a point in her life, he was gone a lot, and there was some not dad mentality because he was Ric Flair. You know, he truly was Ric Flair. And, you know, you're on the road 250, 270 days a year. There's not much family time. And when you're back, you're beat up and you're, you know, just trying to relax a little bit. But, you know, the interesting story that you're talking about there is, you know, Cena's going to retire at the end of 25.
Right.
I say that my gut is they put 17 on Cena.
And I mean, I can see that, and then him relinquish it before he retires, or WrestleMania is he gets a title, and WrestleMania is him losing the title. Because the thing is John is really good about putting people over, even if it is at the detriment of himself. So,
but he's at 16 also, and all of his were 16 with WWE. And I know, you know, no matter what they say, you know, Flair's obviously was, you know, about half and half with, you know, NWA, WCW, the whole 9 yards. So if you want to accentuate your guy is Cena. You know?
right.
And it's tough. It's tough. Well, how many does Orton have? Orton's 2 or 3 away.
Or Orton's at 13, I think.
13. I think he's the same as Charlotte. Yeah.
And
he's got game left, man. He came back in beast shape. You know, they said they told him, you know, weighing in at 240 pounds. He looked at him like, that weighed like 295 now, dude. That was my old weight. You know, he bulked up. You know, he got some size to him.
Randy came back looking stronger than he ever did. He looks better than half his age, man. Like,
absolutely,
Randy is a monster.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he's in a great family, man. You know, obviously we talk about ring skills. You know, 3rd generation wrestler, but at the same time, fucking amazing man. Just a great man.
To this day, I mean, RKO is arguably one of the. It's the RKO is on the level of the stunner or the rock bottom, right? Like it's one of those where, you know, immediately if anybody says RKO, they know exactly what that is, and they know it is meme worthy to get RKO'd in the middle of nowhere.
And if you don't sell it and you're done after that, you're an asshole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like when you got stunned. If you didn't sell the stunner, then you're just a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're Vince. I mean, Vince didn't know how to sell anything. So I mean,
that's true. You had to sell. No, that's not true. He knew how to sell tickets. So,
well, I mean, he didn't know how to sell a move. He didn't know how to sell. He didn't know how to sell getting hit with something, man. He always dropped like a lead weight every time like he got hit with anything.
Yeah, stone cold in the hospital, man. That was one of the best things in the fucking history of the world.
Yep. Steve had the best gimmicks out of everything because it was the bedpan to Vince's head. It was the milk on
crutches. I mean,
store. Just so many. God, I'm gonna continue going, and we gotta wrap.
Yeah, we got it.
So let's get into these wrap up questions here, man. So I'm gonna ask you the hardest question you've ever been asked in your life. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. What is your favorite kind of taco?
Oh fuck, man. Goat. I'm a big goat taco kind of guy out of California, man. Out of Stockton, California. They got some of the best food trucks in the world, and I will take a goat taco over anything.
So that's something that I bring up all the time because whenever anybody talks about quesabirria, and I like quesabirria, and I like birria tacos, I always tell them, are you talking real birria or are you talking birria meant for white people? Because birria meant for white people is beef, right?
No.
Traditional birria is goat.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the whole thing is like whenever anybody says birria, I'll ask them, have you had real birria? Because birria is traditionally goat. The only time you're ever going to find it is if there's a restaurant that specializes in it, or you go to a quinceañera because it's a traditional dish.
Absolutely. And you know, probably the best, like I said, I had was, you know, my fiance was 3 years in Stockton, and they have food truck after food truck, and you know, the just traditional, you know, I know as a dentist, I ain't eating no damn lingua because I don't, you know, I will have some goat though. That's some cool shit.
Matt Aguilar in the chat from comicbook.com. He's another big wrestling fan. So he's talking about some of the best sequences ever, the RKO and everything like that, or the things that we're talking about here. And then bring on the goat meat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
James Navarro saying, come wrestle for Mike Millerick at SPW. He needs a dentist.
There's a lot of guys who need me to come in as the dentist, not as the wrestler, because there's some badass teeth out there sometimes. I can hook them up.
Man, I think that's something I'd want to see is you versus Sir Samurai. That'd be great. Sir Samurai, he's a fun guy to watch in the ring, man. So it'd be fun to watch you guys go at it.
Absolutely.
All right. So quickly on this. So what's some advice you might have for anybody trying to get into the industry? Like say somebody, little Jimmy Schmidt sitting here listening to the show and is like, hey, I want to be a wrestler. What do I do? What is some advice you might have for them?
If you find a solid 3 to 6 month school, you're not going to have a first lesson and be a main event for WWE, but you're not going to have, you do not have, if you have the right fucking persona,
yeah,
and you learn your basic solid 5 to 8 spots, you can be a champion shorter than in this day and age than any time in the past. Don't shortcut yourself on your basics. You know, you got to have your collar, you got to lock up right, you got to arm bar, you got to do your amazing 5 to 8 moves solid, spot on. Anything else after that, find your gimmick and go to town.
Yeah, we had a saying in boxing: you lose 1,000 fights before you win your first.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah. You know, the idea being that you got to take all the bumps before you ever get in the ring and you know get over or anything like that. So what's next for you, man? Do you have any shows coming up? Anything you want to promote? Put yourself over, man.
You know, the one thing I've always wanted to do, Dorian and his wife Marty Funk always wanted to get me to Japan. I did have it on the top of my list. I want to get to Japan, and you know, beside being in acting, I still have to put my things in order. I'm a dentist first, I'm a wrestler second, and I'm making the transition to acting. And as I do, I know I'm going to be doing less and less wrestling, but Central America has a place special in my heart. I can't speak shit for foreign language, but a smile and a pat on the back, and I can habla some minor Espanol. I can get through. But I'm going back to Cameroon and for Easter. I'm going to Nigeria supposedly for the first of the year, and I don't know if I'm going to go to Lagos or not. But I'm going to be doing a lot of acting coming up. Christmas, the golden boy Christmas, man. That's where it's going to be right there.
I actually some of the articles that I read in doing preparation, kind of doing all my prep on you. A lot of them were guys in Lagos that were like hyping you up like crazy, man. So
yeah,
they're ready for you out there, man. They love you out there.
Yeah, it's a tough life. I walked on a street that never had a white person on it before, and my heart broke. It's like I walked up to the mom who spoke some broken English. I said, they saw my match last night. There were like 17 million. They shut 17 million people online watching the match, and they said, no, wow. They don't know you're a wrestler. They never met a white person before. and I'm just saying, it's not that it broke my heart. It's that there's places in the world that have never had people of a different racial diversity walk on their street before. And it's just amazing to be able to be in the middle of something originating, that kind of thing, even in this day and age. It's amazing.
Yeah, we one of the first interviews we did on the show almost 4 years ago was a black expat in Korea who wrote a couple of books called the Black Traveler's Guide to different cities in Korea.
Gotcha.
He talks about when you go to places that are not typically tourist places, you're going to get looks no matter what. They said, because you're not Asian. They said white people get looks in places like this, but when you're black and you go into a place like that, they think that you're just like inhuman. They're just like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And he had to he put a warning in his book that you're going to get looks. Do not be offended by it. They've never seen people with your skin color.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's crazy stuff, man.
Put you in your place because you think they're looking at you for one reason, and it's something completely different. Yeah.
Right. Well, the chat is starting to Phil. They want me to teach you Spanish. The chat is saying teach you Spanish. I'm Nicaraguan, so I mean, like when you say Central America, I'm like, oh, I know that's my bread and butter, man. I've been all over Central America. But the chat is kind of clamoring that everybody's talking about how they want to hear you do a promo. They want to hear the Golden Boy. So let's get to the end right here. Mr. Golden Boy, Jimmy Mack, put yourself over. Where can people follow you, learn more about you? Put yourself over.
The Golden Boy is in the house, coming to you from the golden beaches of Palm Beach County, where your girls are 10s and your smiles are too. Lamborghini Hood, where the Golden Boy is going to live in your heart, in your dreams, and your mind. Peace out from Golden Palm Beach, Florida.
Woo! And we're also going to give you a
Oh yeah!
There we go. All right. Well,
Yeah.
oh yeah, the cream rises. Yeah, rises right to the top. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us this week here on The Build. Before we get going here, of course, Graveyard, I'm going to have you put yourself over. Where can everybody find you? Where can everybody learn more about Graveyard and everything you do?
Yes, I am Graveyard, co-host of the Mostly Pod Out at Night, Mostly podcast.
Mostly
Pod.
at night. Mostly.
We are back to our once-a-week schedule starting next week, so we'll have new episodes every Wednesday wherever you hear podcasts. Also every Wednesday, Conversations in the Void. We have great guests lined up. I can't wait for you guys to see all the stuff we have coming, so make sure to follow us at Pod Out at Night. And in 3 weeks, we will have our first table at Days of the Dead Con in Chicago, so make sure to check that out. And starting today as well, the new Indiegogo campaign for the next Horror Dads movie, the Fairfield County 4, which is a found footage werewolf movie, is coming out. So make sure I'll put the links in the description. Check us out on Indiegogo, and we can make that movie happen. It's filming in April of next year.
Nice.
See if I can find my way out to Chicago, man. We'll see if I can get in your movie.
That's going to be in Connecticut.
See if I can get out.
It's even farther from you.
See if I can get to Connecticut. See if I can be in your movie. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm your boy, Young Phil, Distance 30. Of course, you can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I still call it Twitter. It's never going to call it X. Twitch, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Discord, MySpace, Vine, GeoCities, Friendster, Second Life, AIM, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, OnlyFans. It's only pictures of Aaron Watson's feet and mangles. The beard, and of course, Jamez's glasses, sitting on a table judging you for not watching more Distance Nerding at Distance Nerding. And of course, if you'd like us to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, pet, schoolyard bully, annoying neighbor, or just tell us how much you enjoy us, hate us, or wish the internet would consume us completely and spit us out at the feet at the feet of Ric Flair himself. Woo! Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, you can send us an email at dist. I'm on the wrong button. Hold on. Boom, right there. Send us an email at dist.
Maybe in 200 more episodes, you have this down packed.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, we're what, 2 episodes away from our 200th episode?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Maybe I'll learn how to do this and be a professional at some point in my life, right? Insnerding at AOL.com, and we will read it live on the air. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. We have hope you all had a good time. We have had an amazing one. Again, one more time, thank you for Mr. Dr. Jimmy McDowell, aka Dr. Golden Boy DDS. We appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us here today. But it is now time for the dance party. We did not warn you. So you are not going to be prepared for this at all. Ladies and gentlemen, the dance party. Jimmy, the way that we do this, basically when the theme music starts, just grab something on and make it dance on screen. If you have nothing to make dance, then, give us your best dance. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. It is now time for the dance party. Let's do this.
Percocet dancing time.
Time for the Percocet dancing.
Maybe Viagra. Maybe it was Viagra.
It's Sally and Deadpool as Bob Ross. It's me in Funko Pop form. We'll see everybody next week.